we are, depending on when you're listening to this, we are 24 hours removed from what happened last night, and the bloodstains are still damp all over the floor of the convention center in Philadelphia. Good God in heaven, what an ass kicking the God, Christ, Jesus, Lord Donald Trump took last night at the hands of Kamala Harris. The bloody red ass that Kamala Harris gave to this ancient-looking, sour, twisted, bitter, psychotic old man. The contrast is just incredible. You know, it took less than 15 minutes once that debate began for Kamala Harris to get under the orange bastard's skin. And by the way, this was their first and probably be the only debate that they have. Trump is not going to stick his ass out there again after what happened to him last night. But anyway, the result of what she did to him was a seething, unhinged, incoherent, on stage in front of millions of people, complete, I should say, meltdown on the part of Donald Trump. You could see the orange oozing out of his eyes and his skin pores. You could see his blonde hair kind of just shrivel up and go to the color they should be, which is grayish-white. You could see the rats and roaches that abide within his voluminous mounds of clothing just escape out the back door. It was incredible. And how did he respond? He responded the only way he could. He started out by questioning Kamala Harris's racial identity. Jesus Christ. Again already. He repeated, how many times did you hear the word immigrant or border or insane or criminals regarding people trying to come to our country last night, coming out of this orange scum's mouth over and over. Plus that vile lie about immigrants that I mentioned last night. Eating their neighbors' pets. I can't get that out of my mind. Good God. He came out with outlandish lies and bullshit about Democrats and abortion. And he was hit with an instant fact check. That was one thing. I swear to God, Lindsey Davis and David Muir could not have been better monitors or moderators. I guess they were both of this debate. Well, they did let a few of the shit that came out of his mouth that was nothing but insanely untrue. They did let that go. But for the first time, I felt good about seeing two people. And I watch ABC Newscast every night. But two people, Lindsey Davis and David Muir, refusing to let this rancid son of a bitch skate by with his bullshit. And you know what the result of that was? His co-defendants, the people who want to destroy the country along with him, in other words, his little circle of sycophants, these little rat bastards, are now saying that it was so unfair that they fact-checked Donald Trump, but they wouldn't fact-check Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris was not standing up there telling fucking lies. Donald Trump was. But it's fun to listen to these whiny asses scream and cry and bitch and bleat and whine about being forced to tell the truth. Oh, my God. And, of course, he refused to say whether he hopes Ukraine will win the war with Russia. And and his freak out over the comments. And Harris knew exactly how to dig into this rat bastard's skin and just make him go insane when she made the comments about his rally, about people leave because they're bored. Oh, my God. I watched this Home Alone last night, sitting in my apartment with a big bowl of popcorn and a couple of shots of Glenlivet. And I'm sitting there watching this, just laughing and guffawing and cheering and high-fiving nobody. I mean, there's nobody here. I'm a single guy who watches television at night, especially if it's the debate between Harris and Trump. But what I saw last night really convinced me that Trump is going to go down, and he's going to take the 60, 70 million assholes who are going to vote for him along with him. And you know what really got to me was after after the debate on ABC, the reporter, damn it, I'm drawing a blank on his name now, and I should know it. I know as well as my own. But he had a group of so-called, I don't know, innocent citizens who were watching this debate. And the idea was to get their take on what they just saw. The people are now politicians, not media. And what I heard from these 6 or 7 people who ABC had conscripted to listen to the debate and then comment, what I heard was just, it reinforced my idea that so many people in this country are so fucking incredibly stupid. Just stupid. And I don't know where ABC got these people, but most of them couldn't put a goddamn sentence together, much less try to articulate what they had just witnessed. It was just unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, anyway, the orange Christ, God, Jesus bastard Trump and his Nazi cohorts are trying to spin his train wreck performance as a win. And I don't know how the polls are going to turn out. You know my feeling about polls, but they still show Trump and Harris in a dead heat. And the only response I have to that is the response I've had over and over and over. Like, what the fuck? What is wrong with people in this country? But I have to go back. It was good to see the 2 journalists, and they are journalists, Lindsay Davis and David Muir, to see the 2 of them not allow this slithering, slimy son of a bitch skate by with as much bullshit as he likes to put out there. It was refreshing to see 2 journalists who were acting as journalists. But anyway, the Christian fascists who backed this bastard, they know Donald Trump didn't win Tuesday's debate. They know it. And they know who to blame. Not orange lying son of a bitch. No, blame the media. Politico had a piece out this morning. What's his name? Ichabod Crane, the senator from Arkansas, that goofy-looking fucker, Tom Cotton. I mean, okay, I'm not supposed to make ad hominem attacks, right? But Tom Cotton, to sit there on CNN the way he did, I think it was CNN, or was it ABC? I don't know. I was switching around. Maybe it was ABC. But for Tom Cotton to sit there and talk about the glorious victory that he had just witnessed where Trump absolutely kicked ass, even though, as Tom Cotton put it, as Ichabod Crane put it, it was 3-on-1. They continued to engage in so-called fact-checking of Donald Trump. They never did that to Kamala Harris. Well, you stupid son of a bitch, maybe because Kamala Harris isn't known as being a goddamn world-class liar. Maybe that's it, Ichabod, you freak. David Bossie, a longtime Trump advisor and a member of the Republican National Committee, said, quote, "You have 2 moderators there who acted as agents of the Harris campaign," end quote. Oh, Bossie, sit the fuck down and shut up. Nobody cares what you think anyway. But to hear the kind of spin that these Christian fascist demons are trying to put on Trump's shitty performance last night, and Trump's performance was doomed to be shitty to begin with. He is a lying, corrupted, filthy, on the brink of meeting his maker, old man who can't put a goddamn sentence together. He can't put a phrase together. So I don't know what they're trying to defend. They're trying to defend Trump because they know that's what they're trying to defend, Mike. Come on. They're trying to defend Trump because they know that he's the point of the spear being this weapon that they're trying to use to destroy democracy in this country and replace it with a form of Christian fascism that would make anything Margaret Atwood has written seem mild by comparison. But these dirty bastards, I mean, I don't know how anyone could watch that, what happened last night. Kamala Harris just took him over the coals. And like I say, the bloodstains will be in that venue for a long, long time. Tim Murtaugh, who was the communications director for Trump's 2020 campaign, said, quote, "It was a little outrageous that they would fact-check only one candidate." Well, you dumb fuck. Maybe it's because the other one wasn't lying. Jesus, God, these people. Now, according to Politico, who covered a little bit of what happened last night, this morning, they report that the orange bastard had been setting the stage for weeks, arguing that the debate would be biased against him. That's how he starts everything. Oh, they're against me. They're unfair. They're nasty. Oh, I'm such a victim. You fucking Nazi scum, you. Oh, I'm such a victim, Malloy. Don't call me a Nazi scum. But soon after the debate began, the complaints started rolling in on social media because there were watch parties across the nation. There was one here in Atlanta. I don't know if you're going to believe this or not, but it was reported by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. There was a Trump watch party at a fucking gun store here in Atlanta. This is less than a week after what happened at the high school here in North Georgia. This is how brain dead these Christian fuckers really are. They would have a Trump watch party in a goddamn gun shop or gun range, whatever it was. But it's just insane. Just insane. But that's what Christians are. This is what they have become. The ones who say they're Christians for Trump. I'm not talking about folks that go to church. You know, I'm not going to go through that rap again, but you know what I'm saying. Now, the posture from the Orange Scum's backers last night stood in contrast to what happened back in June, that debate against Joe Biden on CNN. They didn't have any fact-checking. Dana Bash, who wasn't she the one that conducted that ridiculous fucking exercise in Trump standing there in front of millions of people jerking off? I mean, that's all that was. Trump masturbating for the whole country to see. And poor old Joe Biden standing there in a fog, not knowing which fucking way is up, which is down, his left hand from his right, and Dana Bash just continuing to feed one-liners into the Trump maw. It was just unreal. So, and the result of that, because Dana Bash is so fucking incompetent, when that was over, Trump said that he'd been treated by CNN, quote, very fairly, end quote. And then last night, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. About 40 minutes after the debate ended, Trump himself picked up the charge that he was treated unfairly. Oh, I've been telling you this for 15 years. They treat me so, they're so nasty. He said when he drifted into the so-called spin room, and they call it that for a certain reason, he said this, quote, "I thought that was my best debate ever." That's what he put on Truth Social, especially since it was 3-on-1. Oh, my God. He's like a fucking senile 10-year-old and a 5-year-old in a sandbox. Oh, Susie and Bobby are picking on me. And my mom told me to shut up. 3-on-1, 3-on-1. Blah! Oh, Jesus, God. And during that, ran over a little bit over 90 minutes, during that debate, David Muir and Lindsey Davis repeatedly was determined to set the candidates straight on Trump's bullshit. And then the one that really got to me, and I have to applaud David Muir for doing this, and that was the false claim about that accusation that's gone viral now, as bullshit always does in this age of social media. What a fucking joke social media is. God, I hate it. But about Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, killing and eating house pets, and the charge that democratic states allow the killing of infants after birth, and Trump's statement that crime in the country is, quote, through the roof. I mean, all you have to do is take those three fucking lies. Trump cannot say anything truthful. He simply can't. He is a senile, pathological fucking liar. When he was 30 years old, he was a senile, pathological fucking liar. Good God, this guy. But, you know, when David Muir reacted to the Trump claim about eating pets, and Muir said, you know, we fact-checked this, Mr. President, and such a thing is, I'm paraphrasing, such a thing has not happened in Springfield. And then Trump had a rejoinder to that. Well, people have been saying there is. Oh, man, shit. Oh, my God. Oh. Okay. Now, any claims by Kamala Harris, a couple of them were stretched. I thought, come on, you're getting close to the edge there, Miss Vice President. But, and this is to the Christian fascist displeasure, the moderators didn't similarly correct her. Well, that's because she wasn't standing there lying through her fucking teeth, whereas Trump was. However, Lindsey Davis did confront Vice President Harris over her changing her mind on key issues, including fracking and the buyback programs on assault weapons. Okay, who started the flip-flop phrase? What presidential candidate contest was that? Was that during Reagan, Carter? I don't even remember. But it has become part of the political season vernacular now. Flip-flopping. Oh, you're flip-flopping. Oh, for fuck's sake. That's the thing about Christian devils. You know, their truth was written on a couple of stone tablets, 5-10 million years ago or some such shit by the finger of God. Whereas, and it's immutable truth. There is nothing that a Christian finds in his fucked up book or her fucked up book, or Jews, well, Jews argue it constantly, or Muslims, that the Christians don't see as total, complete, cast in stone truth. Whereas science is constantly saying, okay, this is what we believe now. However, we're leaving it open to change if we discover new science, which is how science works. So when a politician says, I'm against fracking in January, and in December says, I'm not against fracking, well, maybe some truth entered into his or her thought processes about what fracking really does. But you see, the Christian devils, they have no problem with jumping all over Kamala Harris if she says one thing in June and something diametrically different in July. To the Christian devils, well, there you go. See, she's a flip-flopper. Whereas if they would just take the shit out of their eyes and look at Trump, well, never mind. That's not going to happen. Anyway, so the Christian fascists said that this reaffirmed what they have said for the past 50 years, that the media is biased against conservatives, and here in the age of Trump horseshit, mostly biased, particularly biased against the Lord God Christ Savior, Donald Trump. They just won't give him a fair shake, will they? A representative from Florida who has the same, well, it sounds like the same name as the vice presidential candidate with Kamala Harris. This guy's name is Michael Waltz. He was in the spin room, and he said, quote, referring to the moderators, to David Muir and Lindsey Davis, this jerk-off said, quote, they made themselves the story, end quote. And he criticized the moderators, get this, for not fact-checking Kamala Harris's comments on Charlottesville, which this dumb fucker, Michael Waltz, who obviously is a Christian asshole, he said that what Kamala Harris said took it out of context. That her comments about Trump praising Nazis somehow to this jerk-off from Florida, Michael Waltz, that was taking it out of context. And he also, this jerk-off, said that Trump's comments that his loss would result in a bloodbath Well, that was intended to be about energy policy and not the election. Right, right. Stand back and stand by. What was that about? Huh? Look, you know, what these Christian fascists seem to not be able to understand is that normal people understand the so-called dog whistles and the little coded messages that come out of the orange vomit's mouth and his surrogates. And Trump, of course, doing what he usually does, he tried to manage expectations about this debate. And according to Politico, just last week, he insisted at a Fox News town hall that Kamala Harris would get the questions in advance. I mean, the crazy fucker. Yeah, right. It's all against you, isn't it? Huh? And the two moderators squashed that at the start of Tuesday's debate by saying right out that neither nominee had seen questions ahead of time. And when they said that, the orange vomit just stood there with that scowly-looking 3-year-old look on his face. I expected any moment he was going to put one thumb in his mouth and start sucking his thumb, and the other hand into his diaper in order to check and see if he'd pissed himself. It was a combination of a 2-year-old and an ancient old man who had absolutely nothing to any value to the people of this country that might promote people to want to put him in the presidency. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.